Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Monday night. In case you're kind of wondering, things are going to be a little different right now because I wasn't even put on the show, and yet they decided to have me join anyway. So
I thought he was like going to be gone.
All I know is this is the first time that we've done a show where we're all in three different states.
There is
well, technically, New Jersey's like a foreign country as far as I'm concerned.
Pretty much.
It smells like one right now, too.
Yeah.
There's smells I haven't smelled since college.
Oh, wow.
That's
special.
That's saying something. So, Dan, for those who have no idea of what you're referring to and tonight, where you're at tonight, where are you?
So I am coming to you from Atlantic City. I'm here for DJX, the rebranded DJ Expo, and now I'm in my hotel room. So, yeah, Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, right along the boardwalk. The old Taj.
The old Taj.
So they brought it back to the building. And for those of you that were worried about like, oh, I don't know if I'd ever find like for next year, I don't know if I can find my way around. It's the same. Like they gutted it, they cleaned it up, but the layout's the same.
It's not a lot you can do with load-bearing walls, you know?
Yeah.
Pretty much. So you come down from the elevators, and you go around a corner, and there's White House Subs.
And White House Sub is here. I had that for lunch.
Yes. There is important things still in place.
Right.
Important things.
Set your priorities.
So
screw education, screw equipment, screw friendships, subs and hoagies.
Subs, and then there's a coffee shop. There's got to be a Starbucks somewhere.
There is, but they moved it. That has moved.
Oh, so that's completely different.
It's now by the boardwalk.
Oh, they went that direction with it. Excellent.
Yeah.
So tonight's topic, we're going to talk about things that we wish we would have done in our younger days. And we'll get to that topic. But before we do that, because we weren't sure if Dan was going to be able to make it, the internet and all the different aspects of it. So we're going to spend the first part of the show talking a little bit about what Dan's been experiencing in Atlantic City. And from there, then we will get into our topic tonight. So if you're watching this after it's been recorded, skip ahead 20 minutes if you don't want to hear the Atlantic City talk. And if we only talked for 10 minutes, then you lost some of that. You'll have to back up again. So
skip check.
So yeah, pretty much. So Dan, you got in last night, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit. You mentioned that they've remodeled, but it's pretty much the same. What kind of differences? Because this is the first year I think that it's been back. Otherwise we've been at Harrah's the last couple of times.
Yeah, it was. So obviously nothing last year. 2 years ago was Harrah's. 2 and 3 years ago it was Harrah's, and then I think the year before we talked, it was at the convention center. And then before that, it was over here. So there's some general differences. So for example, when we used to be able to go into the exhibit hall, like there was kind of like that winding hallway that led back to where we would do registration and where we would go into the exhibit hall, right? That hallway's gone per se, and so there's a different entrance. Kind of, if you remember where some of the table games were, I don't know if it was their high limit area, maybe, but it was like some of the table games. That's now become how you go into what is their arena. So it still leads you kind of in the same direction, but it's not the same entrance, and it kind of really creates more of a, like it's part of the hotel. Like you almost kind of felt like the exhibit, by going back that hallway, it's like, oh, it's not part of the hotel. It's like some separate building that's just attached by a hallway. This one's more together. Mm-hmm. From some of the pictures I've seen inside the exhibit hall, if those of you remember how expansive it was and high ceilings, we heard before that the lower ceiling, it's definitely going to be lower ceilings. It's definitely a smaller room. But beyond that, I don't know. I'm going to try and get some video for all of you guys tomorrow to be able to share and put out however we put it out. John will take care of that. I just record. That's been some of the main issue. And then, but where like the seminars were, all of those are the same. But I will say the one thing that I think has kind of improved, if I remember correctly, it felt like there was a lot more soft walls at when we were in the Taj. Like it was one huge, like they could open them all and be like this massive ballroom, like more than you'd ever see. All right. There's still soft walls to kind of separate a couple of them, but there's a lot more hard walls. So for example, you have the main conference room, which is Hollywood East and West. And then there's some sponsored rooms, which are down the hall. And then around the corner and down that hall is where they're doing some more of the seminars. And I will say this, they did something a little different this year. It always seemed like the main room is where you could go for all of them, and you knew if it was in one of the other ones, it was a sponsored seminar. Like it was like the kind of like the giveaway. Like, oh, I know they're going to try and sell me something because it's in this room. That's not been the case. They still obviously had the main setup in that Hollywood East and West, but they've really kind of branched out and added some great content. Yes, some sponsored, but yes, also not sponsored in some of those far rooms.
And I have an important question.
What?
How many steps have you taken so far?
I think that I cheated a little bit today in counting. I can't know if I can count today because this morning I actually decided I'm on the boardwalk. I'm going to wake up and go for a walk/run.
Nice.
John's been inspiring me with his runs. I'm not going to do 7 miles, but I figured, hey, I could maybe pound out 2, and that's what I did. And then some of the seminars today, and we'll probably talk about that here in a second. Some of the latter seminars, I was kind of like, I could take or leave those. So I just decided I'm going to walk over to the outlets. And so I put like an additional like 2.5, 3 miles in this afternoon, walking to them. So let's see, what's my official track for today? I'm at 10 miles for today.
Okay.
Jeez.
Let's just check this out.
I don't even want to drive that far.
You don't drive.
Not too often, yeah. My tax guy tells me, you need to drive more. I'm like, but my gigs are like just in the city. John, where are you at?
I was just going to say I've got 11 miles in, so
I'm probably at like 12.
That was all.
Well, I'm not done yet.
Not miles.
And I am.
Steps.
Oh,
12 steps. I don't want to go over 20, so I got to make
I
big
went
jumps
from
to
the
the
top
bathroom.
floor to this floor, back to the top floor, back to this floor, the kitchen, back to here. I think that's about all I've done today.
I've got more steps than I do, going up the stairs than the other flights climb.
Anyways, let's get back on the topic of the expo. No one cares where I walk.
So you mentioned seminars, Dan.
Yeah.
Today being no exhibit hall, it's the day for the I don't want to say the better quality education, but this is really kind of a focal point of the day today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we started out. Everybody kind of came in 10:30, and I'll tell you one of the coolest things was just seeing people. Like that was one of the things I was looking forward to today. Was just running into people. Yesterday, I thought I'd see more people, and I knew they were here, but nobody. There was no pre-party parties that you were hearing about. Like in previous years, like this place was doing something. We didn't hear that this year. So when 10:30 struck, I was like walking in. I was like, hey! Like it was awesome. It was a big homecoming. A lot of fist bumps, a lot of elbows, because everybody's still aware of what's going on. Like you see some people are in masks, some are not, and so there's a lot of conscious effort with that. Some just don't care. So you do see some people that are hugging and things like that. But those people that you haven't seen in a while was the case. At 11 o'clock, Mike Walter's Mike Walter. Okay. If you have not seen a seminar done by him, and nothing against the virtual content that he's done, nothing against the PhDJ podcast that he does with Joe Bunn, nothing against any of that stuff. But when he does a full-on seminar at a conference, he's probably one of the best speakers that's not a professional speaker that I've heard. So, for example, Alan Berg's probably the best person I've ever seen speak. Mike Walter's a close second. Mm-hmm. He puts a lot of effort into it and knocked it out of the park with his Get the Programming seminar. And something that you can just, trust me, you want to, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. John, I think it's in the Insider area. No. Not the one from today, but
actually, yeah, yes, that you're right. It is in the Insider area. So if you guys are there, you can pop out to the because that presentation was at the Marquee Show also. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I forgot about that.
Yeah, so a little shameless plug. If you're not for some reason signed up for the Insider, you're just checking this out, and you didn't see the seminar today, go check that out there. Absolutely great job that he did with that. Follow that up, and I will say the one thing that's nice this year, they are overlapping a little bit of the seminars, but they're not. They were really kind of giving like a half an hour in between each to really kind of turn the room over, allow the previous one to kind of finish up, take a breather, stretch your legs, and then come back in if you're coming back into the same room. So I after Mike finished, it was an hour and a half. After he finished at 1 o'clock, there was Big Daddy Jordan Marshall, Jamie Perez.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I knew it was Perez, but I couldn't remember the first name for a second. So, and then Dylan, one of the other guys, and I apologize, Dylan, if you're catching this out.
Yep,
I didn't forget your last name on purpose.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. I could. I'll remember it later.
Yeah, he's with the Explosive Entertainment Group, so it was all within Jordan's company, with the exception of Big Daddy. And they talked really kind of about 2020, and obviously it sucked and everything that was with that, but how they kind of, rather than just saying we're not going to do anything, what did we do? What could we do? And what I also thought was really nice about this, they purposely, at least it seemed like purposely, ended their presentation a good 10 to 15 minutes early and opened it up for the floor for people to share other things that they've done to keep their business going and some positive, successful notes that they've had.
Sure.
And what was nice was you heard guys and gals talking about something that they've shown or that they've done that saved their company, and to the point that some of them are still doing it. And a lot of them talking about virtual events and saying, listen, they're not going away. Maybe you didn't get into it when you in theory should have, but they're not going away. And one person in particular talked about 2 corporate events that he got last week. One is for next Monday and one's for the following Thursday. And just, he was like, because I got ready for it, and they were corporate events. Mm-hmm. And, with things kind of going a little weird in some areas, this became something that was really cool. And then there was a couple others that were like that. I'm trying to think what I got after that. Oh, Dave Landers. So DJ Digital Dave talked about DJ hacks. I have probably like 30 pictures or 45 pictures because he went boom, 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 boom. Just like all these little tips, apps, software, music tips. Where do I get my music? Wedding tips. And he just kind of went, and he snowballed it. And it was really great. Shared a lot of those that if you weren't kind of familiar with ideas, some of them apps I'd never heard of that I think would be a great piece for that, and just knocked it out of the park. That's where I ended the day. They also had a mitzvah one. I don't do mitzvahs. They're not big enough in my area for me to kind of say, because they're high energy and you need to do them right. This is not something you can have me at,
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, I just kind of made a conscious effort. But Adam White's, I think, was the one who led that. He's doing another one. So it was interesting. This year we have 2 mitzvah ones. One's today, which was all about kind of the technical side of it and pronunciation, all that stuff. 2 days, it's about marketing. So definitely, they definitely went a little bit more this year and making sure that was known. And then Jay Brennan did Pioneer, and they gave out some mixers. And from my friends that went to it said it was cool. It's cool. They had somebody actually scratching, and then they were giving stuff away almost immediately. So
excellent. Yeah. So day one, educational content. Sounds like it was a good day. You enjoyed yourself and you picked up a few tips.
Absolutely. My notes are probably 10 to 15 pages. I was just writing like crazy because I was just like, and especially Mike's. I mean, Mike's alone, I think, was 5 pages just because of how it went. But yeah, a lot of great content, a lot of details that it's one of those things, like, especially, we've been off we've been off in the way we used to do things for a year and a half. Okay. We've done things, hopefully. But it's not quite like what we were doing before. So some of those little nuances you kind of forget about. So the pieces that Mike was throwing in, the pieces that Dave was throwing in, they were all great ways to kind of refresh those memories. So some of them I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. And then I was like, I really haven't thought about that for a while. I need it. Okay, refresher idea. Let's go and start writing things down.
So let's talk about the hallways. You kind of mentioned a little bit that some were hugged, some were not, some were distant. What's the? I mean, you've got a variety of different things, but if there was what you could kind of say that it's more one way than the other, or how would you kind of describe that hallway action and activity?
It's definitely more close. So more of the hugs, more of the handshakes and that. but it's interesting because where those happen is the people who know each other. All right. So it's almost like I know you, like we're friends and we've talked. So I'm okay with the hug. I don't know you. So that means I've got to be extra cautious. Like, to me, that's kind of a little flawed philosophy, even though I kind of subscribe to it myself. With certain people, I'm like, I was taking pictures today and I wasn't wearing a mask. And, with some people that were close friends of mine, but there's others who I was like staying more distance with. And,
sure.
And so I think it's easy just to kind of fall into that false sense of security. I brought a couple masks and I actually started wearing them because I was like, I'm going to take them in case I have to wear it. Like in case something happens this week and suddenly Jersey is like, nope, effectively immediately put it on or you can't come in. I want to make sure I have them, but some of the news that I've been seeing on Facebook, not related to this conference, but related to some people that we know in this industry that suddenly popped up positive. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start wearing it a little bit more. And so I've been a little bit more productive or proactive rather in wearing.
So now you went and checked out the evening party that was going on tonight.
Yes.
Kind of tell us a little bit about what that was and what your observations were of that.
So first observation, Plum VIP Lounge is very small. Okay. So think of your typical hotel room and 3 or 4 of them. Okay. Of like space where you can move. Right. So that, obviously there's a bar, there's, that takes up more space, but a space that you can move around, 3 or 4 hotel rooms. That's all you get.
So that's where that party is tonight.
The first one is tonight. Yes. Okay. And that's where it is. It was very cool. So, and I'm looking forward, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go back down. It was packed of people that are attending the show. A lot of our, tonight's viewership is probably going to be down because a lot of our viewers, a lot of the people that, we typically see in the chat room, I saw at the show. And so they were doing a great job. They had somebody who was mixing just party hits, like getting everybody's feeling it, and Mike Alvarez and Jake Jacobson were doing emceeing just a little bit of that, but not like over the top. Like sometimes they've been like over the top of it. Tonight was just like a little bit of spice, just a little bit to kind of get you vibing. When I left, Lou Paris had done about 10 minutes of his set. So for those of you who didn't know, they were doing a vinyl set tonight. No computers, turntable, mixer, old vinyl. All right. And it was cool. It was cool to see it. It was you can be a turntablist that uses computers and you may be fantastic at what you do, but to see somebody who's up there using vinyl, like the original vinyl of that was pressed at some place, that's not you. It was cool. All right, it was just kind of like really cool. So Lou's going. I don't remember who's next. I know Tony Fernandez is at some point, and then they didn't talk about it, but Jerry Bazada's,
involved.
We sometimes see him as the financial guy. He's the one that was kind of really behind a lot of this. He's doing his set at 10. So if we're not done by 10, I'm just going to leave you guys because I got to get back down.
MJ, do you have that picture pop up for you?
Do I have what?
Picture. I just sent it over Messenger. The Lou Paris one. So it shows the room. He just posted that a few minutes ago and kind of what he's going to be using for. I just sent it in Messenger over to you.
Me to share it? You're saying?
Yes, because I can't. If I do it, then we lose everything. So
here we go.
There's the room that Dan was just referring to. So
yeah.
And yes, those are actual turntables there behind his right shoulder. So thank you, MJ. So tomorrow's the exhibit space opens, and again, I earlier in the chat, for those of you who are following it at that time, there's an app for this year's show. You can go out to, I gotta find it again. I lost it. Oh, there it is. You go to the App Store and it's Ignite Events Launcher. Find that app, download it, and then you need a code, and that's DJX 2021. And then you'll be able to see who's there, exhibitors-wise, and the floor space and the hotel. It's just got all the information from the show.
Dan's private number.
Yeah, exactly. So you can go and at 10:01 and he's not down there, you can go to his room.
I never turn the ringer on my phone. I'm worse than MJ is at it, I'm sure.
My ringer's always on because nobody calls.
Yeah.
They know not to.
Doesn't happen often. So again, you guys can go check out the app, and it has the different activities.
There is a lot of good stuff in the app. So even if you're not there, there's some good information there. They're doing giveaways and all kinds of stuff. So check it out.
Yeah. So tomorrow, I mean, Dan, you got a chance to look at the app a little bit, some of the sponsors. Exhibit Hall opens tomorrow, and I think this is going to be a different experience for people from a typical DJ Expo. Kind of share what you've been hearing in regard to that.
So first off, if you've had any experience, whether it's been years ago, whether it was 2 years ago, it's always the kind of that awe-inspiring piece, right? You know, like the doors open and it's like you walk in and there's like flashing lights and heists, you know, everybody's got smoke and fog and haze and whatever. There's just not the room this year. Like first, well, I'm gonna phrase that. There's just not the sponsors this year, the vendors, you know, that typically is there. And if you go to the app, like John was saying, and check it out, you're going to see there's going to be names that you're used to seeing that are just not here this year. And I think that's the biggest surprise. And I think it's going to be the biggest surprise, because when I was talking to a couple of people, I'm like, oh, you know, what are you thinking about doing? And I'm thinking I might walk out with this piece of gear. You know, again, we've talked about, this is the show that oftentimes considered to be a cash and carry show.
Right.
You come in, you buy it, and you can take it with you. You're not mailing it home. You're putting it in your car and you're leaving with it. And there's going to be some of that, but like if your plan was, I'm going to go and I'm going to compare these 5 different companies that make controllers, 3 of them might not even be here, you know, and just kind of having that, you know, that rude, for lack of better terms, that rude wake up call to that can be unsettling. The other thing is, and this is nothing against the manufacturers, that's kind of where their hands are tied, is, you know, some of the stuff that they would love to sell you, they can't because they don't even have the stock. Yeah. And they're just, it's the whole chip issue that they're waiting for. So there's been a lot of kind of like scuttling about that. The biggest thing is like people, when I'm talking to them, like, and they bring up, you know, I want to, you know, check out this company. I want to see these, I want to check out the Rain One. Sorry, they're not coming. Yeah. What? And then like the look is, what? Like, this is DJ Expo. How are they not here? That's probably the biggest. That's probably the biggest piece to it, is just kind of that surprise factor, for lack of better terms. I mean, Megaseg's not even coming. I know. I mean, I wasn't even sure if it was a DJ show without them being there. It's dry. I'm thirsty, MJ. I'm sorry. I needed to take a drink and I had to have an excuse.
I was thirsty too. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
But I'll say it a few more times because your drink's bigger and you might have to leave.
So yeah. I will say this. So for those of you that remember, Shani always used to drink Essentia. She convinced me to give it a shot finally. So after like years of prompting, I finally picked up a bottle. It's okay.
Yeah, there's a hard sell for you.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's so good. He's drank about 2 inches off the top of it for the whole day.
Yeah.
It's sipping water.
Yeah, that's funny.
Good old fashioned sipping water.
I'm afraid if I drink it like I need to, like, sorry guys, I gotta leave. And John's like, so what'd you think of, hold on,
I'll be right back. Let's see. Jazzy Lamel asked a question about if there's any new companies out there. Just a couple of the companies here. You've got Allen and Heath will be in one of the booths. Antari is going to be there in a booth. Virtual DJ is there. Audio Technica is going to be in one of the group booths. And some of these are in a dealer type booth where the dealer sells 4 or 5 different things. And that's typical of some of these companies. Like Audio Technica is usually a table. And then next to Audio Technica is like KRK and some things such as that. Bass Boss has a demo room. Bespeco cables and stands and they have, is that FBT also? Yeah. They've got a little table over there that they'll be doing. Bose has a spot. Bun Gear. I think they're going to be talking about crate hackers, maybe. Because I think Joe is there. We saw a picture of him earlier. Yeah. Chauvet is actually. Well,
I think he's pushing his command center.
Okay, so he's got that also.
Plus, actually, it's going to be Crate Hackers 2, because Crate Hackers 1's closed. They're talking about doing a Crate Hackers 2.
Okay, so you've got the next generation. Let's see. Chauvet's got a 2x2 booth, so a four booth space that they have in the back. Danny Max from Max Photo Booth, and with their Infinity DJ, they've got a row of booths, and then they have a side. So they probably have photo booth in one area and the DJ in the other. Dino Energy Drink, that's new. Jazzy, there's that one I've not heard before. DJ Event Planner is there. DJ Frontboards with Facades is there. Design Tech.
You know who's back that I was actually kind of surprised?
Who's that?
Somebody who we had not seen at the show, I think in probably 7 years.
Okay.
Virtual DJ.
Yeah, that's MJ saw that, yeah, MJ saw that earlier and he's like, whoa.
Yeah, I saw that post this morning and I sent it right back to John going, okay, now I want to be at the expo.
Yeah, that was
So Dan, your job is to find if they have new virtual DJ shirts and get me one at whatever cost. And that includes they can have my firstborn. No.
Well, they can because you're not going to have one.
Not going to have any, so yeah.
Jetpack.
No, but see, I am interested, Dan. Next Monday, you are definitely going to have to talk to us. I mean, because you're known about really catching good swag at the expo. And I want to see how that flows this year with the room being different. And is anybody outside there just handing stuff out to people?
So my rumor, or what I've heard, that was the other thing that I've kind of heard is that the swag game this year is going to be little to nothing. Like people don't like Bose has like sunglasses and some things like that. They don't have shirts to hand out. But the other thing, I mean, even if we kind of take that aside, some of the ones that have always been known for having swag aren't at the show. Like American DJ was always one that had swag. Blizzard always had swag. I know Pioneer, I think, is giving away shirts if you sign up or do something with their stuff. Chevet, I'm sure, has some sort of a giveaway. But I just don't think the swag's going to definitely be there the way it has, obviously, in the past.
Right.
How does that make you feel, Daniel?
I'm okay with it. I did put room in case I do get hooked up this year. I did bring some extra space in my luggage just in case. But no.
Speakers again that you never used.
Let's see. Let me just kind of finish running down the list here. Jetpack bag is there. Backpacks. JMOZ Lighting is there. They've got a nice little booth as you kind of come in. Korg and KRK are in a booth there. L Acoustics is there. I don't know if we've seen them at. I'm not sure on that.
They've kind of tried to come with a presence this year too. They also not just obviously they have a spot on the floor. They also have one of the sponsor seminars.
Okay. Do they have a demo room
tomorrow? No, I don't think so.
Bass Boss has a demo room.
Bass Boss, Yorkville, and
FBT or RCF. RCF must be so. So Pioneer's here. ProX has got a nice little table there. RCF, we mentioned that. Rhode Island Novelty. One music company there, RPM, and Top Hits is there. Silent Sound System, I'm not sure what that is.
Headphones, maybe?
I was thinking, I wonder if it's the silent disco type
and
of thing.
And then Chauvet down there. And then see, the American Music and Sound, they've got a variety of different companies that are they probably have like 6 or 8 on the app that will be in their booth area. So quite a few will be there. I mean, it's down. There's no question about it. And as Dan said, some of it's because of no supply to sell. And it's tough to go and be there to get people hyped up about selling, because are you going to take more heat for not being there? Are you going to take more heat for being there and say, sorry, we can't ship anything anyway? So you see this great little widget? Yeah, you can't have it.
Yeah.
And that's literally what it would end up being.
And I've only heard, Dan, if you've heard, I'm not going to give out any details, but I've only heard one company is going to have something new.
Two.
Okay, so one of those is probably the one I know, and then another.
Yeah. Well, let me phrase it. The other one, actually, come to think of it, I take it back. The other one I heard about, not related to the show, and as I think about who the exhibitors are, they're not at the show. So there was another piece of equipment that was debuted this week, not related to the show.
Was it going to be?
It was. There's a couple companies that have put out some stuff on it.
Oh, I've missed all of that.
I missed that too. We'll have to,
Dan, you're in charge.
Yeah, you gotta somehow do a video on it. Tell us all about it.
There you go.
All
Dan's lost. Wait, what's going on?
No,
here?
he sent a message via.
I'm trying to see. I've got these pop-ups. Those of you who don't know, we can chat to each other behind your back, so we can talk about you. And Dan's hitting us up with these messages about this stuff. So now I know two.
So,
whichever way you want to do that.
So Peter, the silent sound system, some of these we have no idea. I mean, you can check the app and it maybe has a link and a website. I haven't taken the time to go and trace those things down yet. But yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to do what I can to help you guys out tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm going to make a tour. The one problem, John was like, "Hey, we need a mic and go into your phone," and I don't have one. So if any of you happen to be coming down tomorrow and you have the ability to have like a lapel type of mic that goes into a phone, I have the adapter for a phone, for an iPhone. I don't need to worry about that. Just like a headphone jack type mic. Hit me up. Let me know. And because I would love to be able to kind of do some extra stuff for all of you. I just didn't have the piece of equipment, and unfortunately, traffic did not let me stop anywhere on Sunday.
Yeah, once you get going,
probably not going to be as loud this year either. So you might actually be able to use the mic on your phone for once.
Maybe.
That's actually true. Yeah,
Maybe.
because typically
for those, I did look up. Silent Sound System is a silent disco headphone supplier.
Okay,
so I looked them up,
and I think this could be one of the companies then that rent these systems, because that's become the thing is buying them, it just doesn't work. So they basically box them up, send you 50 of them, you use them, and then box them up, send them back.
I have a friend here in the city who has that company, and man, some of his events he gets to do are so cool. Stuff inside museums where it's full out dance parties in museums and everybody's wearing headphones. And there was another one where you can do channels on them to where they have 3 DJs lined up and you can flip your headphones and pick which DJ you want to listen to. So everybody out on the floor is dancing to 3 different sounds at the same time. It's pretty crazy.
Which pretty much looks like how we would be dancing if we were there. We coordinated.
Being on beats.
Speak for yourself. I can throw down.
Yeah.
MJ be flipping around.
Yeah, exactly, and then make us look bad. Okay.
I'd probably fall over.
I will say this. So somebody in the chat said the cannabis coffee. That I did not see on the vendor list. They did not come back. But then again, all you have to do is walk the boardwalk this year, and you can partake second-handly.
There is one. It's down.
Oh, was it?
Hang on.
Maybe I just missed it.
It is. Oh, where is it? We'll find it here.
Smack. That's right. Smack Shop is there.
Yep, they are there. Booth 1011. So you can get your T-shirts for those who want to get those T-shirts. Yay! It's not quite as good as a White House sub, but you get what you get. Well, excellent. Looking forward to getting more pictures and updates tomorrow, Dan, as things go along, and your thoughts on the exhibit hall when it opens, and how day 2 goes at DJX this year. So let's just take a few minutes here, guys, and the 3 of us have been in the industry for a number of years, and in that time, there's things you've learned from experience. Usually, it's that school of hard knocks that has done things, and you look back and you're thinking, gosh, if I would have known now, and we've had shows where we've done this, if I would have known now what I would have known then. And really, I was kind of wanting to just talk a little bit about if you could go back and, if we were young again and just starting out in the DJ thing, we just, whatever it was, we got our first sniff of the DJ performance. What would you have done during those early times that would have been different than what actually did happen, is really what I'm looking for.
I'd like to say that a wise man can learn from his own mistakes, but a truly wise man can learn from his friends' mistakes. So I've had a lot of experience in my lifetime learning from friends. See, this is when John, when he brought this talk, he brings these topics up that just make me look grumpy. Okay? Because, I don't want to start over again. I never want to go, people say, if you could change things, if you know something, go back. No. It doesn't matter what I have. I don't want to go back and start again. One of the main things is I honestly believe that life makes you who you are, and I just wonder if I wouldn't have had the hard things I went through, would I be as, empathetic? Would I be as smart? Would I be as experienced? What I went through made me who I am. Whether you like me or not, that's up to you. But I don't know if I would. I honestly can't answer that because I don't think there is. I don't think I would go through anything differently. I'd probably never make sure I never DJ any weddings ever. There's a lot of day jobs I wouldn't take. I can tell you that much. My resume is pretty much a list of things that I'll never do again. There's some friends I probably wouldn't make in the DJ world. I'm just saying.
Hey.
Did I say you guys? No, I said there are DJ friends that I have in this business that I probably would have never said hello to if I had known.
Yeah.
DJs be crazy. That's all I gotta say. So for me, I don't have anything necessarily positive. So Dan and John, you guys got to take this over and spin it with something good.
But I think that's part of the thing is that there's things you mentioned, not taking weddings, and I look back at some of these situations. There's events I took that I shouldn't. I shouldn't have wasted the money to try to go into the college market. And that was one of the areas where we did early on, and we bought a lot of gear to go into the college market, and we ended up doing 2 college dances, and that was it. We were able to market to a lot of them. We had a lot of sniffs around, and that caused me to go spend money, which leads to another aspect of that is that, learning how to sell first, then purchase the gear to do that, as opposed to, there's somebody was looking our way. Let's buy equipment. In a jumping with the equipment purchases first, then trying to sell it. That idea of selling it, and if I don't have the equipment, renting the equipment to make it happen, and yes, I may not make any money on it. It didn't occur to me early on that if I was renting and if I had a $1,000 event, and if I was renting $500 worth of gear or $700 worth of gear, I looked at it as like, I'm not making enough. I might as well buy the gear. And that thinking got me into trouble as far as you bought the gear. And okay, so I spent $5,000 on gear instead of renting for $500. And now I have this gear sitting. And some of those, I literally had some subwoofers out in that shed that I gave away a few years ago, had 2 shows on them. That was it. And I spent at that time $1,000+ per sub used. That's just the way it goes. So there's many things that we learned, and the negative is usually, as you say, you learn from other people's mistakes. There's many of those.
I before Dan starts, I would have done something different. I would have danced more.
Mm-hmm.
As simple as that. In the DJ booth, wherever. I just danced more in life.
Yeah, and that's something that you enjoy, and figuring out that, hey, you know what, I should have implemented that into my performances more because I enjoyed that.
I just meant in life, walking down the street.
Just dance as you're walking down the boardwalk.
Sashaying my way into the 7-Eleven as I get a Slurpee,
If it works.
So I will say this. I could come up with a list, and I'll come up with a list here in a second or share my list, I should say. But I'm very much like MJ in the fact that, I'm very happy with where I am. I'm very happy with the person that I am and the way my business is, and the fact that I'm able to have a full-time job and I'm able to have the full-time DJ and being able to make the two of them mesh together. And so as I talk about some of the things that I would have told my younger self, I do it also kind of with that grain of salt of going, I don't know how much I would want to change though about who I am. And be cautious to that. So a couple of the first things that come to mind is exactly kind of as John was saying, as far as, chasing those events. Like when I started out, it was, I'm a DJ. Like, I'm not this type of DJ. You need a bar, you need a birthday party, you need a class reunion, you need a wedding, you need just for me to show up and press play. And it was like, whatever you needed, I was going to be that type of DJ. Yeah. And I quickly realized, or I shouldn't say quickly, but once I started taking this seriously the right way, I realized that specialization in a few small areas increases your worth, increases your demand way better than appearing to be that person for everybody. Because without even saying it, as long as I focus on just those 2 events, what I have has gone through the roof. Where when I was trying to do everything for everybody, it was like, I had this event here, or that event there. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I wish I could go back and tell myself when I was younger, 2 things actually, is both kind of together, is people do this for a living. Like when I got started, the people that I was around and the people in my market all did what I kind of do now, which is you had a full-time job and you DJ'd on the side. that full-time job might have been a radio DJ, and you know, so it was DJing, but nobody that I knew of, let me phrase that, nobody that I knew of was doing the mobile side for their career.
Mm-hmm.
And so I assumed that I couldn't either. And so I never even let that cross my mind. And it wasn't until actually I came to Expo the first time and met, you know, people like Steve Moody and Mike Walter and Big Daddy, and went, wait a minute, this is your career. Like, you don't have something else. This is your career. And so knowing that, I don't know if it would have changed my career path. Like, would I have gone to school for teaching? Would I have done? I don't know. And that's the thing that I kind of like. But knowing that people did this for a living quickly also changed my viewpoint on how I charge and how I go about it. Because when I saw that people were doing it for a living, I went, oh, in order for them to do it for a living, they charge more because they have to live off of it. Well, if they can charge more and they can get it, then I should be able to charge at least more than what I'm doing. and it was one of those things that I was able to kind of use that as kind of a catapult, and also realize that I also needed to take it more seriously than I was. Like, I was taking it seriously, but not to the level I was once I met other people that were having this as a career. So telling my younger self and you know, pointing them to say, hey, look at these other people. There are other people out here that do this. I think would have helped me in that sense as well. And the kind of, like I said, that flip side of it, of knowing about the education side, I happened upon this. I didn't realize it was here.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking Expo. I mean, John, you were doing the paper. What was 2000, 2001 you first started it?
2004 was our first year.
2004. Okay. So, I mean, there was multiple years that I didn't know about DJN at all. I didn't know about, you know, Mobile Beat or, you know, DJ Times. I didn't know those things existed. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't know what I didn't know. And so just being able to point myself and saying, hey, you don't know these things. This is where you can look. This is where you can find education. This is where you can learn things that would have helped me kind of, as you said, learn from other people's mistakes. I would have been able to read and follow up on what other people are doing to be able to learn and make some of those advances even faster than what I could have, for sure, on my own. I think that those are the main things for me. I'm sure if I sat here and made my list real big, I'm sure there's a multitude of other things, but those are definitely my standouts.
Did you come up with any yet, MJ?
I want to repeat one that I can't remember the dude's name who plays Captain America. Chris
Evans?
Yeah, Chris Evans. Yeah.
Chris Evans? Okay, yeah. He said in his early years he wished he would have told his brain, shh, shh. And I can definitely relate with that there was a lot of times I just needed to tell my brain, stop talking, brain.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe. Stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, for me, like I said, it's really tough because I know that I learned a lot that I learned because of the life that I lived. The hard times and the good times. The successes and the failures. I believe all of that builds you for who you are. And as much as I hated the hard times, I really think it gives you a view that you wouldn't have of good times if you didn't have that. You wouldn't understand that. To value certain things that aren't monetary, that you look at them as having value. I look at some of my free time and being able to look at a calendar or a weather report and saying it's going to be a beautiful day Wednesday. I'm going to do all the things I have to do today so that Wednesday I can go do that. That's a form of wealth that people would kill for. Not being in debt is, these are all just things that free me up to chase my dream, because we were talking before the show about gigs and different things like that, and how that I know certain DJs want gigs for money. And they go, well, that's a really great paying gig. And I'm like, I don't look at it that way. Yes, I need money to pay for things, but I'm in a position where I don't have to go. I have to make as much money as I can. I am able to go, this is what I need to live off of. Can I fit gigs in to do that, to then let me live the life that I want to live? And I can. So I think a lot of mine, like Dan said about the full-time thing, I probably would have went full-time DJing sooner would have walked away from day jobs sooner. And when I was younger, I never thought that I'd want to own my own business because my parents owned their own business, and I saw how much you had to put into it. And I'm like, I never want to do that. But now it's like, I don't want to work for anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm blessed on all the different ways. We talk a lot about how I love being creative and all the different ways I get to be creative, whether it be live DJing, working on music, thumbnails for YouTube videos for Disc Jockey News, here live with you guys. All of these things are things that I consider having value in my life now because other people would kill to get to do that. Other people would kill to make a couple dollars doing that, and I am. And so that's where I'm coming from on this, that I don't think I would change anything and go back, because I don't think this would have the value to me if I wouldn't have gone through that.
Yeah, certainly.
I would have taken this for granted. So
yeah, I definitely see that.
Is that make?
I've got one more here, guys. I'll share this one, and we need to wrap up because then we'll be getting ready for the second show. This one of the second big ones that I really wanted to hit was, I wish I would have been more aware of how the change of technology was going to change the availability of events in our area. And I say that is that early on in the late 80s and early 90s, we couldn't get enough DJs out in the field. And I was training, and as we went into the 90s, there was at that time we were doing between 12 and 16 shows every weekend. That was getting to the beginning of the CDR time. And when the CDRs were out there and we were getting, we were buying these Platinum series and the Mobile Beat Top, those came in at early 2000s time frame. That was our heyday. And I wish I would have at that time kind of been thinking more as a business as opposed to having, our DJ, our staff became friends. And as we continued on, and as more people were starting to duplicate libraries, and more people were getting into the DJ, and it was becoming, at one time in our little area here, which now we know that our population in the zip code is about 1,000 people. In that 1,000 people, there were 6 DJ companies in our little small town here. So there was a lot of people doing it at that time in that mid 2000s range. And to keep DJs busy, I was having to adjust pricing, with the idea of hopefully keeping them busy enough so that they would continue to do it, instead of looking at it as a business and realizing that, okay, well, I've got to have this to justify it. And if that means that some of the DJs are going to, I can't employ them anymore, so be it. I needed to be able to look at the technology and say, okay, it's going to become oversaturated really quick. And there's nothing I can do. We cannot fight that. We're not going to fight it on price. If you guys want to go out on your own, whatever, it's just not going to be, it wasn't worth it, because that's when we started to drop prices down. We had our operating loans and different things we were running at the time, and these things just didn't all work together as one would have thought. But not understanding how that technology was going to drive prices down in an area that had a limited number of events at any given time, because it is a fairly rural part of the state in which we worked within our 1 hour radius. It just, at one time we were at one of the bigger multis, and there were more multis that were doing and serving this part of the state. Now the biggest person probably is 2 or 3 systems. It's just all the multis are gone. It's just not enough work, and the price went down so much that you just can't do what we once did that way. So being able to understand that on the front side would have been much, much more valuable. And for a couple of my DJ friends who at that time sold their businesses, and I thought they were fools at the time. And now I look back, and a couple of those guys sold and went off and bought a brick and mortar type business. And they got out at just the right time. They saw the writing on the wall better than I did. And they got out of it and didn't get as much as I thought they were worth, but probably got more than it was truly worth a year or two later. And they've gone off to be very successful.
But you wouldn't have met us if you went to that brick and mortar.
It wasn't so much as selling. If it would have just been, instead of trying to, because that was about the time that people were wanting me for my show, and they were paying more for my particular performance. And then I had staff. And then so it's like, okay, we started doing, instead of our pricing all being at the same, I started going and then they started going and we couldn't book enough of them. And so then it's like, okay, so if I can't book enough of them at $1,000, how about $800 type of thing? And it became that to a point race to zero with theirs. And then the staff would look at that and say, well, gosh, I feel like I'm worth much more than that. I just listened to the guy talk at the last DJ convention that I'm worth more than that because that's not as much as a veggie platter's worth. It all worked together. The technology, people coming into it because they could. It was an easy, low entry level, and at the time, people were like, "Woohoo! $100 on a Saturday night's way better than I make at my day job." Those all hit at the exact same time or within a quick succession, and that made it so that it got to be very tough financially for that period of time. And going back, if a person could have been more. Instead of operating on a hope and a dream, if it would have been more operating on more reality of what's there and reading the tea leaves a little bit better, it would have been much more successful. So,
along with this topic, John, real quick for both of you guys, I'll answer it too. If it wasn't telling your younger self, if DJing wasn't it, what do you think? I mean, where do you think if you would have known all of this, where do you think you would have told your younger self would have wanted to go?
I would have stayed in teaching.
Would you still DJing or would you have done something else?
I would have stayed in teaching. If it wouldn't have that pivotal time came in 1996, where prior to that I was college and DJ teaching and DJ, and that fall of 96. If things would have changed and I would have not booked homecoming dances like we did, I would have continued in teaching and that would have been it. And I probably would have then eventually shut down the DJ at some point in time in the future, just because it would be tough to balance both of those. And as things got a little more difficult, I would have probably pulled the plug on it.
Dan?
If I would have to go all the way back to maybe to high school, so I could also convince myself not to do radio, because that would probably be the one thing. Like my first degree is in radio, and yeah, that didn't really work. So if I could go all the way back, pharmacy, like pharmacist.
Pharmacist, interesting.
Not a farmer, pharmacist.
No, yeah, I already did the farming thing. No,
or farmer assistant. You wouldn't be that either.
No. Family history. No, I love my brothers. I love my father. I love what they provided for me. That was not for me.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it would be tough because I love technology, but also love being alone. So the whole internet thing, maybe that might have changed my life. But I think probably ultimately in the end, I would have been happy just being a writer and doing some artwork and stuff, and kept it simple like that, where I wasn't on stage and have to travel or be the performer. Sometimes it's fun, but it weighs on you some days.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So that's probably what I would have. I still would have been creative in some sense, but I don't think I would have been. If I'd have done this DJing, it would be just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been like the extra job. Like some people play guitar on the weekends for some. That would be that sort of thing for me. Playing just the music I want, but it'd probably be some kind of creativeness where I'm sitting here at the desk, drawing, typing, whatever.
Excellent. Well, we're going to wrap things up. Dan, I'll let you get you close here in just a second. Tonight, we're going to be going at the DJNTV.com/chill. Howie and the guys are going to be down on the boardwalk, and we're going to jump into the chill room. I'm going to jump in there to kind of manage things and run the tech side of it tonight as the guys come and give us the report from on the boardwalk. Tomorrow night, we're going to come back again. We're going to try to go broadcast from the chill event at Beret. So we're going to try to do that, and I think we're going to try to get that about 9 o'clock Eastern, somewhere in that ballpark, 8:30, 9 o'clock. It's going to be, you're going to have to kind of watch and such as things pop up on Facebook tomorrow night, what's going on. And then we'll have at 10 o'clock Eastern, and if once the event's kind of wrapped up, the chill room, DJNTV.com/chill, will be open, and you guys can have some fun there. So I think that's it.
I'm probably going to do a live show Wednesday. Not sure what it's going to be about. Maybe about equipment or a piece of equipment, maybe.
And we're hoping, that there's going to be
some... maybe all it's going to be about. But I definitely want to talk a little bit about expo stuff and different things. And since virtual is at the expo, we'll be talking about virtual and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to be more of an open thing, talking about this week.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that's going on this week.
Nice. So here's the thing that I'm going to recommend. If you are going to join in the chill room, you've got to call Howie out and Jay and tell them that they need to do the chill room tonight from the slingshot. Jay was gonna do it on the Ferris wheel, you need to one them up and say, no, if you're a real man, you're going to do it from the slingshot. But on that note, I do want to thank everybody for tuning in, whether you're in Atlantic City like I am, or whether you are at home, wherever you might be. You took time out of your night to join us. And for that, we are eternally grateful, because without you guys, we couldn't do this. So thank you very much. Keep yourself safe. Have a good time. Join Howie, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.